welcome to Talking Horses. I'm Maggie Wolfendale alongside Anthony Stabile, and we have a 10-race card here for our final Big A card before the holiday break.
You ready for a little break?
I'm ready for a little break.
I am too.
I bet you are.
It's been a long year.
It's been a long year. It's been an exciting year, though. I mean, it feels as though after quite a while of not being normal, we kind of got more back to normal here in 2022.
That's an interesting word. Normal?
Well, nothing's ever normal. That's
not with me.
That's a loaded term.
That's a loaded term, yes. But no, I know what you mean. There's just been there's been a little bit more of a casual feel to things. And
did a lot of traveling, which
you did.
Yeah.
So
that was a lot of fun.
That's good.
Yeah.
Did a lot of traveling. She's wrapping up the year by abusing me a little bit. It's been a fun time.
I'm not going to see you for like 2 or 3 weeks, so I got to get my kicks in.
Oh, that's right.
Licks
You're
in.
Kicks, licks, whatever. You knock yourself out. Do whatever you want.
Oh, we do, like I said, have that 10-race card for you. Track good in Harrod for the first time in a while.
It was interesting yesterday. We have a few seconds because a couple of these races we can kind of fire through. So you'll notice that it happened a couple of times now. We will seal the track even though there is no rain in the forecast. The seal kind of helps get that moisture out.
Exactly.
And if it affects a race or two, you know, sometimes you gotta choose your battle to win the war. So if for a race or two was a little more moisture in the track, you got to get that moisture out. And Brian, you know, we used to always say Glenn Kozak, Brian does most of the hands-on stuff now. He does a great job getting that moisture out. So you see today it's good in Harrod. Yesterday, muddy and sealed. It was to get that water out. When it's cold like this, it's kind of hard to get that moisture out. So getting out, we're supposed to get a big storm Thursday, Friday. So we won't be racing obviously for 10 days, but a lot of rain and or snow, maybe a white Christmas around here.
I heard. So I'm not going to be participating.
You won't care. You'll be halfway around the world. But the fact is, they do a great job getting the moisture out of this track, and it's a little more difficult this time of year. But that's why it's good in Harrod today. It looks more fast than anything else. So I would imagine by the end of the day, with the wind blowing and the sun out, it's nice and crisp out there today. Sun's out, it's warm in the sun. Imagine we get to a fast track by the day's end. Yeah,
hopeful for that. Had some good New York bred racing yesterday. But if you want to play today's races, as always, make sure you do so with a NYRA Bets account. New members can earn up to a $200 deposit match bonus when you use promo code MATCH200. Make sure you check out NYRABets.com for all the information. Also, we have that middle pick 4 as well, which starts in race number
Quattro. The 4th race today. You don't have to opt into that.
4. Yeah. No opting in. That's always good to know. How about the $300 hit, 3,000, excuse me, trifecta hit and split? That you have to
opt in.
Right.
And that's cash, folks. That's not this points nonsense. That's cash.
Awesome.
Cash money. See that dollar sign?
Yep.
Cash money, baby.
Yep. Hit to Aqueduct's 3rd race trifecta and split $3,000. And 2, you can catch the action on America's Day at the Races. We kick things off on FS1 today at 2:30. On for 2 hours there, and then we switch over for the final hour on FS2. So let's get into
all Magony today too.
It's all Magony?
It's all Magony. I'm not leaving you at 4:30.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just
Richie's out of here early.
I want as much abuse as I possibly can get before I don't see you until the new year.
You got like 4 hours of abuse coming at you. So let's start with race number 1. The entry did scratch in here, so no show or superfecta.
No try either.
Or try wagering here. Look. Sourcing Network's a first-time starter from the Chad Brown barn. The Dam, she was a decent sprinter. This is her first foal to run, but she is half to Fatal Bullet, who's a multi-graded stakes winning sprinter. You would think, now the words don't necessarily.
Stronach, right? Fatal Bullet, I believe.
Yes. I mean, there was a lot of Stronach pedigrees in here. It's a shame that the entry scratched in here because that was a fun one. Perfect Sting in the pedigree, Zenyatta in Harley Girls pedigree. Anyway, they're not here to play today, but you would think that there could be some speed with this filly, but it's not like the works necessarily scream, I'm going to be fast, but a solid work tab of, 48s and change going back to, September.
Wings like an eagle. Wings like eagles. Good luck with that, Johnny. I had Johnny I's last day today.
He nailed it last time she ran.
He did. It's a little annoying though. It was like that C's get degrees the other day. You want to say the S throughout the name. You want to say C's gets degrees, but it's not. It's C's get degrees.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I'm probably
it's annoying.
A victim of
Believe
that.
me, when you're up there, it's annoying. You kind of feel like this horse may have been second by attrition last time. You know, more of a turf horse, but she ran well enough that she'll take some money into the first.
She's one of several paddock notes plays I have today.
Okay.
Because
now I'm listening.
She might be more of a turf horse. Yes, I acknowledge that. Obviously, her faster races have come. But you watch that last race. She started off mid-pack. And then she wanted to run off with Joel Rosario, so he let her run up there and Signal from Noise.
Yes.
Another kind of weird name. Was just prominent throughout, just steadily, and she was a 1-2 favorite that day. So I wrote in my notes, will probably be better shorter. Now, she might not be better shorter on this surface,
right.
But I really think the cutback in distance should help her. But yeah, Sourcing Network is a force to be reckoned with, I would think, in here.
There you go.
Race number 2, going the mile 14 claimer for those 3-year-olds or those of which who have never won 3 races. And the race kind of goes through Hagler in here, Anthony, with the drop in class. Do note, blinkers on for him today with Rudy Rodriguez. This will be the second start, though, as a gelding. And I think they're trying to get this horse back to what he did when he was successful as a 2-year-old, and that is be forward.
I find it interesting, and I agree. The race goes through Hagler in 2 ways. He's the class on the drop down, and he's supposed to be the speed from the rail, especially now. I didn't know about the blinkers. That's a late change.
Yes.
I don't know if this horse wants anything to do with a mile. That's the big issue for me. I think everything else you said is 100% accurate, but where have we ever seen, even the Cavassier race, and I know it was the Jerome, that was a speed bias track that day.
Yeah.
And, you know, Cavassier was one of the few horses that actually made up ground. A lot of horses just won on the front end. And it's just hard for me to think. Now, obviously, this isn't the Jerome, but his other race going a mile was appalling.
Yeah.
I don't want this horse at 2-1. He's going to be around 2-1. I don't want this horse at 2-1 going a mile. Sorry.
I just think they're doing it to try to get him forward again.
I agree.
mean, he only really seems to perform or show up at all if he is in the mix early. And I don't know if I necessarily trust him either. How can you?
You can't. There's absolutely no, because he has been, his last 2 against significantly better have been awful.
And furthermore, he's going to have to face last-minute Mario shipping in here and stretching out in distance. I mean, he feels like the most confirmed speed.
That's a great name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Last-minute Mario. I'd like to know a guy. I probably have a last-minute Mario in my life.
Yeah, knowing you, yes.
Procrastination Paul or something like that, I would call him. Something like that. Pete.
Don't be late. We both land on this Michelle Gianggiulio runner. He was the only one that was a part of a pace that ultimately kind of came apart last time, and he was the only real survivor to stay up in the mix. And I just think that he projects to sit that right trip right off of those
Perfect trip, right?
horses.
Supposed to be right behind Hagler. And if you're in my camp and don't think Hagler wants anything to do with a mile, he inherits him. And let's be honest, he doesn't have to hold off. You know, this isn't blame, and nobody's going to be running at this way. I mean, Forever Wicked's going to be your second choice.
Same old song and dance, right?
Yeah, he may even be your favorite when all's said and done if they don't fall for Hagler.
Yeah.
And he comes running and he gets pieces, but, you know.
He just never gets out of the gate.
He's right.
And I just wanted a horse that seems to be in relative good form right now, because you are taking Hagler in not so good form. And I mean, what do you do with Jade's Dream? He might be running back into some of his better races, and he's better going longer. We kind of know that about him.
No question about it.
You know, with Hagler, is a mile best. Jade's Dream, it is best. But I feel like he's another one that you can't fully trust.
No, and his best race as of late was at Penn National, around 2 turns. This is back around the 1 turn. Yeah, I don't know. We both have him 4th, but I like, and you know, we didn't mention the Gian Giulio barn going very well right now.
Yeah,
Even Seafoam ran his eyeballs out yesterday from off the pace with the blinkers back on, with the blinkers on. Yeah, I think I like Don't Be Late today with you.
Race number 3. This, sorry, not kicking off the middle pick 4.
No.
None. 2 for 25, going the mile, and what we both land on Run Devil. And we'll start by talking, though, about Good Morning Angel in here. And now she is the one that took that needed drop into the maiden 20. She kind of was wide the whole way, and she just grinded out this victory, Anthony, where could the proverbial light bulb have gone off? Could this be just the right level? Maybe, but I'd rather take somebody else at a better price.
If the light bulb went off, it's probably a 25 watt. I mean, she didn't do much here. This was survival of the fittest, and you see her in start number 6, finally getting the job done. Again, best hop was the drop. She dropped into the lowest level of her career, and Toby Sheets and the Asmussen barn do the right thing. They run her for this is essentially the bottom. I think for the fillies, this is the bottom.
There's not a non-2 for 16?
I don't know for the 2 life. I think that might be 3. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
It's as close to the bottom as they're going to get.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, the breaks here. We're not going to run for 10 days, so you might run a horse a little higher or a little lower just to get another race under them before we go to the break. So
until you don't know what's necessarily coming up in the book either.
Correct. Right.
Yeah.
The book's not out.
Yeah.
She got the job done last time. I don't think anybody's rushing to their Naira Bets account to take her as the 2nd or 3rd choice in here. Now, you and I picked a horse, but we've seen this. So this year so far here at Aqueduct, Holy Matrimony won off a 3.5-year layoff. The horse last week, whose name's escaping me, that shipped in from Kentucky, won
Silver Streaker.
Won second off a 34-month layoff. And now you and I are going to try to get a horse to go second off of a 27-month layoff. And I think she makes a lot of sense.
Tons of sense. She's coming out, and, you know, it's all relative in here. But I think what is a strong 9-2.
Much tougher.
Because we saw Reigning Chick come back and not disgrace herself in a tougher race. And, I mean, everybody's kind of, the 2 horses that have come back, Reigning Chick and the horse who finished 4th, I believe, came back to improve their buyers and just run faster races. So she was up close, then she dropped back, and then she ran on while the winner came from last. So she was kind of prominent in the early stages, then she drops back a little bit, and she just ran like a horse that looked like she needed the race. 2, she looks like a big mare, where, you know, it's a little tougher.
More ground's going to help her for sure.
Right, and 2, it's a little tougher to get those types completely fit. So I think she benefits greatly from that last race and takes that needed step forward.
Makes so much. When you say those things about being in the paddock and seeing them, it gives me more confidence. It's ridiculous to say a horse making her 2nd start off a 27-month layoff makes a lot of sense. She just made a ton of sense, and it's in part because of what she's facing. I know, you know, you and I have too much fun up here, so we always run out of time, but I don't think Johnny I is going to care. Shigeko, I mean,
she's just not fast enough on the dirt.
A 38 when she broke her maiden.
I mean, yeah, that was at the 2-year-old. She could get faster. And then how do you trust Freudian?
You want Freudian
I did not
off that
like
last
her
race?
at all in the paddock.
No, and if I told you, and again, this is a good example. Maggie said it best. Run Devil, the 25 she ran in, exponentially tougher than this. If I told you, if I crossed off your PPs and wrote you this was a 16-2 life,
yeah,
you wouldn't have given it a second thought.
Right.
Because it looks more like a 16 than a 25.
Yeah.
The last one looked more like a 50 than a 25.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're on the same page in here, and she might actually be 7-2, 4-1.
Race number 4, as we will kick off that middle pick 4, going the mile, open 10 claimer, and we should start by talking about the venerable veteran, the 9-year-old, making his last start. You would think, at the Naira circuit, it's all relevant.
This would be it for him, I would imagine. I actually took a look in the book. I don't think there's anything for him after the break. And it'll be tough to see him go. He's been a little bit of a pet of mine. He's been with Rudy in the Imperios for a very long time. He has a great story behind him. This is a horse that was cut out to be a really nice horse, and man plans and Mother Nature laughs sometimes. And but I mean, to win more than a third of his starts when all is said and done is pretty remarkable for what he's went through. This was his last win. This was back on June 24th over at beautiful Belmont Park. He survives the last 16th of a mile at even money. I don't think you have to justify picking him in here. I will tell you this is a little bit of a sentimental pick because I do think he'll go out and win. Horses like him that know how to win, and I'll tell you what, Kumar coming out of here was a huge scratch for him. Because Kumar's best races are when he's forward. And maybe Kumar can't do much running anymore.
And Miami Chrome, for that matter.
Yeah, and Miami Chrome.
The stretch out. I did opt for It's Mandatory. Linda Rice's numbers. Now, usually you don't want them when she takes that little drop in class off the claim, when she's like, here, you can have them, like, it's like, when she takes this precipitous drop, she wins. She's winning at nearly 50%, 13 for 27 with a positive ROI at 226. That is crazy.
When you include the takeout, that goes to like 240.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
That is nuts. So I went with It's Mandatory. I know it's a non-effort last time, but it felt like a non-effort from the jock. And maybe he felt something. Don't want to question that. But
in his defense, this is a horse that has never raised a hoof on a wet track. So he may have just run a half mile and said, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore on this kind of track. That's what it kind of felt like to me. And I felt that way going in, and I think the public knew that. This horse was, I want to say, 8-5 on the morning line. He went off a dead as disco, 3-1 on the tote board. So you kind of knew the wet track was going to be his undoing that day, and it certainly was.
Moving on to race number 5, which does kick off the pick 6.
That was a good job. If you hit that pick 6 yesterday, congratulations. You got $15,000. The first 3 were 25-yard field goals.
How did you fare?
I had the first 3, and then it went bye-bye.
Yeah. The last 2 were tough to come up with.
You find, what do you think now as the loose speed? You did a great job. The Jimmy Ferraro maiden, in hindsight.
He had run some good races.
That last race put him, not that effort, but it kind of put him in the mix.
And it was such a murky race at the end of the day. I mean, you were dealing with the best 2 horses. That's not their surface.
Right. Absolutely right. And the horse in the last was tough. Yeah.
Race
but
number 5.
That's why you got 15,000.
Is the first division of this entry-level allowance going the mile. This is the not so tough division. I think, the one coming up later is quite a bit tougher, as we'll start by talking about the horse that's just been in excellent form right now. And again, for Linda Rice, that's Curlin's Wisdom, as we'll take a look back at his start 2 back in the Empire Classic behind Dr. Blute. Even last time, I think he ran very, very well. He was just second best to I Am the Law.
These were 2 excellent rides. They were 2 excellent. This is Dr. Blute.
Yes, this is the Empire Classic. Where you see Seafoam as well finishing 4th in here.
Yeah.
Who ran second in the stage yesterday.
This was an excellent effort. Excellent effort. And kind of his coming out party a little bit. He had been knocking on the door at running some big figs, and this was the first, well, really the second big fig he had run. He ran the big fig against the filly, Truancy 2 back, but 3 back. But I thought this race was good. The last race, now you're going to see this horse got beat at 2-1 last time. This was the best ride getting beat at 2-1 you'll ever see, because you wanted to be forward. Joel Rosario and I Am the Law blasted out of there, took the fight to the other 2 speeds in the race. This horse was like the 4th speed, and he was essentially never more than a length off the lead around the racetrack until the winner got some separation in the stretch. 2 great rides. They ran 1-2. He's in great form right now. I'm going to say this, Maggie. For about 10 days, Linda Rice's barn was on fire.
Yeah.
It's cooled off a little bit.
It's cooled off.
She had a couple of big
attrition.
favorites. She had a couple of big favorites go down. I think you need to keep that in mind. But if this horse comes up with any one of his last 3 races, these horses are going to have their hands full today.
Now, the other question is, and I don't necessarily believe this, but those 3 races have come going around 2 turns at 9 furlongs, and now we're back at 8 around 1 turn. Does that kind of mitigate his potency?
It does. Look, something happened when this horse came back from Saratoga, because he's a different horse since he came back from Saratoga.
He looks different.
And I remember you said that at one point, and I was like, I do pay it. Even when you abuse me, I pay attention. This horse came back from Saratoga different, and I'm not saying the one-turn win in the A other end makes him a player here, but he is a much better horse. It's only 3 months. He's a much better horse now, and I'm big with that. You know I am. What tracks, one-turn, two-turn, I am. I'm a scutch when it comes to that. I don't know if it's going to matter, but this horse is just in raging form right now, and he's catching some horses who really, I mean, you said it nicely. This is clearly the weaker division of this race.
This is my other one of, I think, 3. Paddock. I just circled in like bright colors my notes. Watasha.
Okay.
Needs longer. And we see Adam Wachtell and company pick this horse up for $120,000 at the Horses of Racing Age sale in November. You watch his last race, which was second off the break, backing up his maiden score, which was at 7/8. Furthest this horse is gone. His biggest number, his biggest win on the dirt, and he broke a touch slow. It's actually a much better effort than it looks on paper. He broke slow, he got shuffled back, he started climbing from the kickback. Then Manny Franco moves him outside so he's not getting that kickback, and then he makes this middle 5-wide move around the turn. I mean, when do those moves work? And this race dominated on the front end. I want this horse. I really like Watasha today, especially there's a lot of question marks with some of these horses. Not necessarily a question mark with Curlin's Wisdom. I respect him. I can see him winning. But up to the mark, do you really want him?
I want nothing to do with him.
Obviously, you left him completely off.
He can win. He will win without
Capital. Maybe he's in raging form, but this is a tougher field than Holy Matrimony and
I'm going to give you the fuzzy in here. I think Randy's a fuzzy in here.
I looked at this horse long and hard. This horse has some talent, and Randy's been on a good run here. But those are with horses that have been running.
Yeah, no. Listen, they usually need to run into shape. I've always liked this horse. He had this horse in for 16 about 10 days ago. And I think the line to claim him just dispersed in the racing office. I think everybody just finally went home for the holiday.
Wouldn't you maybe take that as a negative that he was in for the 16?
I think that could have been part of the little fugazi he had, put him in for the 16. He's going to be a big price. A big price. And like you said, and like I said, you don't necessarily completely trust Curlin's Wisdom. He doesn't have a lot of knocks against him right now, but you can't really completely trust him. This is the horse I want that's going to be, and he's not going to be, he won't be 15-1. That barn's going too good right now, and he has a following here a little bit, Randy. They're going to bet this horse a little bit. But if you're playing exotics in here, and even if you're playing the middle pick 4, the early pick 5, the early pick 4, I'm using this horse on a backup ticket. And now, because of the one next to me, I got to use Watasha a little bit on a backup ticket. So thanks, Maggie. Ma, you can blame her for the extra money being gambled today.
All right, well, that is the first leg of this Pick 6 on this Sunday afternoon. We will take a quick break here on Talking Horses and bring you the late pick 5 after this.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Thank you to our sponsors at Saratoga Water for bringing you Talking Horses each and every race day. Jumping back into it, the late pick 5 kicks off with a maiden special weight here in race number 6, going the mile for the 2-year-old fillies. And we'll, start the discussion with the horse that you picked in here, number 3, Don't Tell Amy. Arguably comes out of a, maybe a not so strong maiden special weight in which we saw a first-time starter from Tom Albatrani, who doesn't necessarily always win with his first-time starters, get the win here. Now, Don't Tell Amy did lose a lot more ground than the eventual winner.
A lot more ground. A lot more ground than the eventual winner.
And took a ton more kickback. Look how much dirtier she is. She's the 4.
You and I watched this race together on America's Day at the Races.
Yeah.
And I thought this horse ran sensationally first time out. Was definitely betting this horse and picking this horse back, unless there was some sort of looming presence. I do not feel there are any looming presences in here, if that's even a word. So I went back to Don't Tell Amy, Kendrick in a ride, replacing the injured Trevor McCarthy. Hope you're doing all right, Trev. See you at Mother Kelly soon. And yeah, you know, I don't disagree with what had run. Did not do much running. But I don't think the two horses that ran 1-2 are gonna. I think this filly might be okay. I mean, I'm telling you that what filly your husband has might be okay. Shot him eye.
I like her. I like her as a horse. I just.
Do we know who Amy is, by the way?
It's so.
Wow.
Let's face it. One of Larry Connolly's longest friends, longtime friends, I should say, actually a Scottish guy, named Lawrence. His wife's name is Amy, and he bought in with it.
Oh, well. Sorry, Lawrence.
Don't tell Amy I did it.
Amy,
so,
you now know.
Lawrence, a very good poker player.
Really?
As well. I
Okay.
play poker with Lawrence. Yeah, so.
You play poker?
Not well. Maybe he's not that good. It was just who he was playing with. But yes, Don't Tell Amy, definitely a player. Here's the third and final paddock pick I had on today's card, and that's a fault. And she looks like she needs longer. She gets it here. Padma was a heavy favorite that day. A call pressed the pace while 3 wide, and then she kind of just. She got a little green down the lane. She was kind of running in spots. And two, the 3 horses in front of her, we saw Royal Poppy to break through 2 starts after this and win quite fastly, earlier this week. And I just thought that she was the lone first-time starter in that field, and sometimes it's tough when you're facing a field of horses that have experience. And she projects to be the main speed in here.
She should be. Yeah, for first effort, she certainly should be.
Yeah, I mean, she probably tops out a bit here at a mile, but I think she could control this. The horse to beat in here is obviously number 10, My Betsy, who has just run faster in her 2 career starts up at Saratoga, and she's probably one that benefits getting that extra furlong too.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I wanted to throw the Clement Firster in by Ghost Zapper out of a Smart Strike mare. If there is any residual moisture in the track, it should not be an issue. This is an aggressive enough work tab for the barn, especially getting this horse to go a mile. And his numbers on the PPs, 16%, so he's basically 1 for 6 running these horses, going a mile and beyond first time out. I don't know, you know, I don't necessarily trust any of the horses that have run fully, so I'll use a little Firster who could be a decent enough price.
In the immediate pedigree, this one's half to Strike at Dawn, who is a decent turf horse, but the dam is half to Grade 1 Spinster winner, Got Lucky, who kind of could go either way as well.
She hasn't produced too much.
No. As we'll take a look at race number 7, it's claiming 14,000, going the 7 furlongs, and a pretty full field assembled here. You went with number 7, Alicia's Way, turning back in distance, looking for her 4th win in a row. And I get it. Sometimes with these condition claimers, with the 3-year-olds, they can win at however many races they want, and she has won the most in this field.
I don't need to say anything else.
Okay.
When you get to the bottom level of these races, and some of them have run okay, but recent form, 1, 4th, 3rd, 4th, 2, 5th, 4th, 7th, 3, 4, 1, 4. You get the point. She is she's in good form. She's at the bottom. She finds her way down to the bottom and eligible, like Mag said, because she's a 3-year-old. And she gets to take advantage of this for exactly 13 more days. You take advantage of it. She's won 4 times as eligible because she's a 3-year-old. When these bottom level claimers get in good form, I'm going to ride that wave. Do not let the Finger Lakes form bother you as much, especially at these bottom level races. The horses are a little bit better at Finger Lakes this year and last year. The money's gotten a little better up there. And when they come down here, they're competitive in these races. I'm going to ride the train and hope she can make it 4 in a row.
I'm just going to take the other Finger Lakes horse, who I think comes out of better races.
I picked them 1 too. Yeah.
backed by Gold, because she does project to be part of the pace here. And that was my main problem with Alicia's Way. I think she gets outrun here. She's going to have to do her best running.
She gets 7,
from
though.
far back. She does get 7 here. It's not, that sharp turn back to the 6. But I do think that backed by Gold could be very effective here towards the front end. And then, what do you do with Pancho Song, who drops out of much tougher races against New York Reds and even Open Company in that starter allowance 2-back? But she's another one that just often gets completely out-sprinted early. It's definitely a positive trainer change to Rob Atras, draws the far outside.
Yeah, and she's another one has been running against exponentially better. I mean, just so much better. Drop all the way down to the bottom, hot barn, one of the leading riders on the circuit. You're not going to let her beat you if you're playing multi-race wages. She's a terrible price off of her recent form. But if you're playing, this is what I mean, you're betting this race vertically and horizontally, you're attacking it 2 different ways. Because are you ever taking 7-2 on Pancho Song on the win pool? I know I'm not. I'm not going anywhere near her at 7-2. But I'm not letting her knock me out of, I find a big price. I find one of my pineapples, I like to call them, one of the long shots that fall from the sky in the early or later legs of the pick 5. I'm not going to let a horse like her beat me.
London Gold's a little interesting as a long price in here. Last race, pretty good. Probably the best, obviously, of her career. And then before that, I know she didn't do much running, and they're condition claimers too, but they were pretty strong fields.
They all won coming out of there.
Yeah, I mean, Alarm Clock won, albeit off the turf, other than Cinderella's Cause, My Sweet Wife. We've seen what she's done.
She came back and won Open 32, yeah.
So, London Gold's a little bit of an interesting long shot
and
for
Randy's horse is running right now.
Randyman. Here is the stronger division of the entry level A, other than it's race number 8, going the mile. And
wow, you did it, huh? You actually did it.
I didn't want to. I did not want to, Anthony. But
my hand was trembling when I tried to do it. I stopped. I said, you know what? I'm not going to give myself any kind of another. I'm sure I have ulcers at this point. I don't even know what's in there. But
feature a lot of horses that want to go. I mean, there's several ways of looking at it. There's no real,
there's no real
all
speed.
Ones early, but there's several horses that want to be forward. And I feel like when that scenario is on paper, that's when you see the faster paces, and that's why I defaulted to Money Supply. I'm not proud of it whatsoever here. I wanted to pick Gulfstream Way.
I feel like, I'm going to interrupt you for a minute.
Yeah.
Part of my process is to identify, and this is everybody's process, but I probably am a little bit more strongly on this. I know this is one of Jonathan Kinchin's things as well. I need to establish the speed.
Well, who did you establish as the speed?
And to be honest with you, I don't love the 2's form because I know it's Brad Cox, but taking horses off of Chris Hartman, that's not an easy task. And I don't want to say it showed last time, but let's be honest.
He was getting out the entire way, too.
No bueno last time.
That.
I'm hoping the way to alleviate that and remedy that is to have Kendrick put him on a Bill Daly stretching out.
I don't disagree with you.
So I established this, and that doesn't mean I'm right, but I established this horse as the speed. I think between the stretch out, Kendrick, and the issues last time, the best way to get this horse to the wire first today would be to be in front. And I think with all of those factors, he will be the speed. So I went from there, not completely trusting him. He will be on my pick 5 ticket. I don't completely trust him, but man, you want to talk about trust? I do not trust Money Supply as far as you could throw me.
I don't. It's a terrible. I'm not proud of this pick. This is like my least favorite pick of the entire day.
I needed him for second to St. Tappet like roses need rain.
So I couldn't stand Gulfstream Way's last race and him getting out, but you could be completely right if he clears here. Then there's 3 Jokers who I think ran well in defeat, coming off a bit of a break, but
that's who I landed on, by the way. We'll talk about him in a minute.
Best races, we can talk about him now. His best races, for me, did we show the replay? We can show the replay. Have come when he is forward. I don't know. I don't know what to think of this horse. I feel like when I like him, he doesn't show up. When I don't like him, he runs well. So maybe he'll win today.
I don't disagree with you about him being forward, but he's also run well enough.
And by the way, forget the Cigar Mile for Kendrick Carmouche. This is one of his best rides I've ever seen.
Amazing ride.
Go and win it.
Amazing ride. Oh, yeah, much better than the True Timber ride. great ride because
Highlight
he's
reel.
dealing with a head case.
Yeah, he
And
breaks slow from the inside. He says, all right, we're going to get out of this kickback because I know you hate it. He chops all the way back, comes around the entire field, and this horse wants to run off, and he just buries his hands. And
I know it was only 9 weeks, but didn't Three Jokers run like a horse who absolutely needed that race?
I'm not disagreeing
right?
with you.
And I just think that if he can improve off of that, I think he'll be close enough. And again, I don't necessarily trust the horse who I have anointed the early speed. He's another one. I think I kind of like don't be late. He can kind of be in the right spot today. And I think that's important. He's going to be a square enough price. You have a horse that's going to be 8-5 in here that is as unreliable as the day is long. This horse has never come close.
I kind of feel like everyone's unreliable, though,
right,
too,
but I don't
right?
want the 8-5 shot that's going to be unreliable.
Yeah, you're
that's what I'm
right.
trying to say. I put him second because he's...
But is he unreliable? I feel like he runs the same race every time. It's just not often winning.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, man. And you know what else bothers me? Chad's tried everything with this horse. He went long, he went short. He put the
Except for the
blinkers on,
turf.
except for the turf, right? And that'll happen in 4.5 months.
Yeah.
He's tried a lot of different things with this horse, and nothing's, even, you see this, he's had 3 different riders, now his 4th different rider. He's run at 5 different racetracks and 6 starts. It's almost like he's just trying to figure out what to do with them. And you know what? Maybe the calendar is going to be his friend. There's obviously some talent here. Maybe when he matures, he'll be okay, but I don't want him at 8-5 today.
I think mandatory is a little bit intriguing because, I mean, you so often see these John Kimmel horses where they'll come off the layoff and they'll run this big race and then they can't duplicate it in a subsequent start. And I feel like that could very well happen here. But he was a part of a pace that, Reagan Music Man wasn't too far off of it, but the other pace horses finished further back than him. And he did, Kendrick did lose his crop about at the 8th pole. And he was clearly going to be 3rd, I'd say, but he may have been a little bit closer. So I don't know. He was just a little bit interesting because he too could sit the right trip off the speed, off the speed.
Okay.
All right, race number 9. Coming up, starter allowance, mile and an 1/8. The trip horse in here, the kind of wise guy horse, is the one you put on top. That's number 1, though, rewards.
Yes. We'll take a look at his replay. We'll take a look at the start and then the finish. You'll see him here highlighted. He's number 5. Whoop!
Yeah, disastrous. And he was favored. I could not believe he was favored over From Another Mother, but
You say
he
that.
ran
You
the
really
best
say that
race.
perfectly. I have to say, you say his name perfectly.
thanks.
You're welcome. And he ran into contention here. He looks like between the fact that he was the favorite, and it was almost like they knew he was going to run as well as he did, and he ran a winning race. I mean, I'm convinced if he breaks, he wins, because he lost plenty of position.
And he was wide the entire way.
Yeah, he wins. I mean, look, he's still running on here. He's trying to get the second horse.
I feel like he is going to be, now David's usually right on the morning line. I feel like he could be a bit shorter, but I also feel like he's facing some horses that might be a touch better than that field he comes out of.
You can tell David knows he's going to take some money again because he made him a shorter price than From Another Mother, who beat him last time. He was 6-1 on the morning line. From Another Mother was 8-1. 8 came out.
But
So he
he's out.
realized what was going to happen here.
I went with a horse in gut feeling who, actually, I had four paddock.
There's another one?
Dirt horse.
Where'd you
He's
see
a
him?
dirt
Saratoga?
horse. Yeah.
Okay.
He's a dirt horse. I mean, isolate his 3 races on the main track,
Yeah.
66, 75, 83. I know it took him a while to break his maiden, and this trainer is not very good for self-acclaim. But this JKX Racing, haven't we seen them come in?
We have.
With their claims?
We have.
And Floki's Flight, who he beat last time, returned to win with an 85. The 3rd place finisher ran well too with a 79. I think this horse is truly a dirt horse. He's a little bit dirtied up with the turf form, and this ownership group intrigues me.
I agree with everything you said. He'll be on my tickets. 1, 3, and 11 from me. I think we got to talk a little bit about Tonal Impact.
Yep.
First time for Linda.
Looking for 4th win in a row.
Yeah, looking for 4 in a row for 4 different barns. I will say this. The Kentucky claiming experiment for the Linda Rice barn has not gone well.
No. Last year it didn't. Maybe it's a different scenario this time around.
Yeah, and this horse, but again, this horse has won for 3 different barns. Same kind of, through the beaten. And then last time it was a big win for the barn. Keith riding for his dad, Steve, it was a great win. This horse ran really well, and it was his first start against open claimers, and he still got the job. He maintained his form. If he brings his form, if he brings his form here, he'll be right there today. This is a little bit of a tough race.
It's
Probably tougher than what he was facing. Yeah.
Yeah. Race number 10, maiden 25 for the New York bred fillies, as you went with the Delaware Invader for Chucky Lawrence. And yeah, I mean, she's just run. Why are you showing me that?
You are my witness here.
What?
There are, including the filly who was scratched, there are 10 X's and 1 non-X. Jessica's race. Now, I'm not singling Jessica's race because as much of my mind as I have lost in 2022, I have not lost all of it. So I will not be pinning my hopes to a maiden quarter to New York bred filly.
You want me to throw a little Morley love.
Threw a little Morley love
I
in there.
will say I got chastised by my husband because she was working well with Grady's Connection, who ran a good second in a New York bred maiden special weight. But there's nothing about this pedigree that says short on dirt. So sounds like, Tom, I'm sorry. I have to go by what this shows me too.
You know who's loyal, Tom. We're both lords. I mean, that's part of it. When you have a lordship and there's this kismet thing when you're a lord like I am and Tom is. It's just how it is. I'm going to use 5, 6, and 8. I'm sorry?
News to me.
I'm going to use 5. You didn't know I was a lord?
Yeah.
I'm a Scottish lord.
Oh, yeah, I did know that.
5, 6, and 8 for me.
Well, you can buy what? An acre for a penny
or something? I have a square foot of land in Scotland. It legally allows me, Margaret, to be called Lord Anthony James Stabile.
Oh,
in fact, during America's Day...
Okay, shush. We only have 30 minutes to post. We need to give Johnny I the proper credit.
You want to shush me now?
I'm shushing you for Johnny. I think you can allow me to do that. Wow, what a heartstring
move that was. Go ahead.
And I haven't been mean to you this entire time until just now.
What time is it now?
Okay, Johnny I. This is his last day. We can roll through some slates. Do we have time, guys? There we go. Match 200. Play today's races with your NaraBets account. Middle pick 4 starts in race number 4. Great way to wager. $3,000 trifecta hit and split.
Opt in.
In today's 3rd race. As he said, opt in. And America's Day at the Races. First on FS1 at 2:30. Switch over to FS2 at 4:30. And make sure you tune in because you're going to be listening to Johnny I call his final card here at the Big A.
As a full-time employee, he will be back for Belmont, and he will
Belmont at the Big A.
And he will be here for Belmont at the Big A too. So, but his last day as a full-time employee, and I think I could speak for almost everyone here when I say that he is office dad. He is he is an unbelievable addition to this team. He has done so many things here at NYRA. He has done a fantastic job in his rightful place as the full-time racetrack announcer the last 3 years in his booths at Aqueduct, Belmont, and Saratoga. I will miss him terribly on a regular basis. I will not know what to do with myself in between gigs. I know Eric Donovan and Don Scott and Tony Alivato will probably tell me to work a little bit more, which I will have to do now. But we wish him nothing but the best, and he is just as good of a colleague and mentor and worker as he is that much better of a person. He's one of the best people and one of the nicest people on the planet, and he will be missed around here on a regular basis.
Johnny I, we love you.
We love you,
Take it away with those reprise of Scratches and Changes.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Hello, racing fans, and once again, welcome to Aqueduct. Mostly sunny skies on this Sunday at the Big A. The temperature will be right around 40 degrees. The main track is good and it is harrowed. And right now we'll take a look at the changes for the 10-race card. In the first race, please note there'll be no show, trifecta, or superfecta. Scratch 1, Golden Sting, and 1A, Harley Girl. Scratch 1 and 1A, out of the first. Second race, number 1, Hagler, will run with blinkers on the 1. And note that number 2 is now 1 pound over. Third race, couple of overweights. Numbers 1 and 5 are both 1 pound over. In today's fourth race, scratch 3, American Power, 5, Kumar, and 9, Miami Chrome. Scratch 3, 5, and 9 out of the fourth. Race 5 starts the pick 6. Scratch number 7, Shipsational. Scratch the 7 from the 5th. In today's sixth race, scratch number 6, Graceful. Scratch the 6, Graceful. In the seventh race, take out number 5, Carly Hustle. Scratch the 5, Carly Hustle. A scratch in the eighth race, scratch number 7, Vasariano. Scratch number 7, Vasariano out of the 8th. In today's ninth race, we have these scratches. Scratch 6, Malene. 9, From Another Mother. Scratch 10, Cagney. And scratch the also eligibles 13, Liam's Fire, 14, Curbstone, and 15, Voliero. Scratch 6, 9, 10, 13, 14, and 15. And in the 10th race, scratch 4, Bandaloo Queen, and 9, Maze Loved Laffy. Scratch 4 and 9 out of the 10th. The main track is good and harrowed. The Sunday opener at Aqueduct in 25 minutes at 11:50 a.m.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.